Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. Today I'm going to be talking about my most ambitious, biggest reading month so far this year. Stay tuned. Okay everyone, so I'm really going all out this month. I think I've got about 14-15 books on my TBR, which is most definitely my most ambitious aims, my most ambitious goal for reading this month. And I'm also going to be taking part in a readathon at the end of the month, which I'm going to talk about later. So a lot of these books have to be done and dusted by the first 3 weeks. To start off with, I'm basically doing a buddy read with MJ and friends at her Discord, Reading This Life, and I'm already halfway through, so that's good news, and that is American Psycho. Now I'm finding this very uncomfortable, kind of disturbing read so far. It is pretty messed up. It's got all sorts of trigger warnings. At the moment I've got through some actually pretty horrible animal violence as well. So if that sort of thing is not your cup of tea, and just extreme violence, if that's not for you, then I would give this book a skip. I know that it really pushes some buttons, pushes people the wrong way, and it's quite a strange read as well. It's about Patrick Bateman, who works at Wall Street. I think it's in the 80s, and he's a very wealthy kind of yuppie. He's got everything going for him. He's got money, he's got very unlikable friends, he's got good looks, and he's very fit. He goes to the gym every day, and he also happens to be a total psychopath. It does terrible things to other people. So yeah, I can't say that I'm absolutely loving it. I have felt quite uncomfortable when I'm reading it, but yeah, I will get back to you when I've actually eventually finished the book. That is American Psycho. Okay, the second book I'm reading, and I'm actually reading it at the same time, which is something I don't normally do, but it's a collection of short stories by Ray Bradbury, The Golden Apples of the Sun. And this is quite lacquer because I'm actually doing some science fiction reading as well. I'm trying to read more science fiction, and I'm really enjoying these stories, and I aim to get through all of Ray Bradbury's work eventually. So I'll get back to you eventually on which ones are my favorites. But yeah, I absolutely love this author. His prose is just so gorgeous, and I like what I've read so far. I think I've only read 2 so far. That is Golden Apples of the Sun. Okay, next up I'm going to be reading Legion. Now I spoke about The Exorcist earlier on, I think it was last month, and I'm dying to get to the sequel. And apparently there's a string of very bizarre murders, and this homicide detective is trying to get to the bottom of this. And the murders bear the mark of the Gemini killer, and the Gemini killer happens to have been dead for, I think it's 12 years. So yeah, it's going to be a strange book, but I'm quite excited for it. That is Legion by William Peter Blatty. And the next book is a book that I bought last month. It was part of my book haul, and you know how much I love post-apocalyptic horror. And this is seen to be an absolute classic, and that's Cormac McCarthy, The Road. Now, from what I understand about this book, it's about a father and son, and they are traveling through burned out America on the way to the coast, and they face all sorts of obstacles in the way, and the only people they have to rely on is themselves. And I've read that this is a very powerful story, and yeah, I don't really know much more about it. I think it's going to be a quick, easy read because the actual text, it looks like each page I'm going to get through really quickly, which is a good thing because a lot of these books, 14 books in 1 month. A good thing is that I'm actually reading quite a lot of novellas as well. There are a couple of longer books that I'm going to get to now, but there's a lot of novellas and short stories, so that should make my goal of 14-15 books a little bit more gettable for this month. but that is Cormac McCarthy, The Road. Okay, next up we have my Stephen King book for the month, Bag of Bones. Now this is a book I've actually been kind of avoiding. I don't know why. I know that it's had some really good reviews, and I know that my wife really loved it as well. And apparently it's a tale about a haunting, and it's like a ghost story. And it's a man who loses his wife, and he goes back to this, I don't know, kind of like a holiday house, a lake house. And I don't know much more about it. This is one of the longer books that I'm going to be reading this month. But if it's anything like other Stephen King, I think I will probably sail through it really quickly. That is Stephen King, Bag of Bones. Okay, the next book, I posed a question to my audience, to my viewers earlier on about Dean Koontz, and there were two books that I put up, Demon Seed and Velocity. Now the feedback that I've got, this month I'm going to be reading Demon Seed by Dean Koontz. Now this is a very interesting premise. It also got a bit of science fiction kind of vibes about it. About a woman who gets trapped in her own house by an artificial intelligence. I don't know if it's a robot or machine or whatever. But this artificial intelligence does not have the best intentions for this woman. And yeah, it sounds very, very creepy, very scary. And I'm looking forward to reading it. So thanks for everyone that's told me I should pick this up. It's also a quick read, I think. Demon Seed by Dean Koontz. Okay, now we move on to my Kindle. And I'm going to start with a gothic horror classic called We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I was one of those people who was not crazy about The Haunting of Hill House. Even though I found the writing really good, I did not enjoy the haunting story so much. I didn't enjoy the characters, but this book looks very different. It's about a very strange, kind of a neurotic feel about it. It's a very strange family that live in this house, this castle, and they've got a terrible family secret. And that's about as much as I know about it. But apparently it is kind of very psychological, very neurotic. It gives you very uncomfortable feelings. And if you look at that cover up there, yeah, that is just such an awesome cover. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be nice to see if I enjoy some of Shirley Jackson's work. And I have seen in reviews that some people prefer this to The Haunting of Hill House. So hopefully this will be my cup of tea. Okay, the next one is a good one. And that is The Black Farm by Elias Withrow. Now, after reading and loving Off-Season, Want to See the Riverman and a couple of other extreme titles, I've decided that every month I'm going to delve into a little bit more extreme horror. And this has been sitting on my Kindle, and it just looks absolutely fascinating. This couple have lost their child, and they decide they can't deal with the grief and they can't live anymore. So they take their own lives. And then what happens is the husband wakes up thinking that it's going to be a relief and that everything's going to be over. But he wakes up in sort of this kind of terrifying purgatory. And I don't know much more about the novel, but I know it is very grotesque and does go to very dark places. So I'm looking forward to picking that up. This is one of the longer ones as well. I think it's about 350 pages. But yeah, I'm going to really go for it this month. I'm going to try and get through everything. So that is The Black Farm. Another very short extreme novel is Connie, Extreme Horror by Ash Erikmeier. And now this is only about 60-70 pages. Looked like a bit of fun. Yeah, it apparently is very gory and over the top. But it's going to be a quick read, and I'm sure you all know how much I love carnivals and clowns and stuff like that. But apparently the story is about, it's basically a horror show masquerading as a carnival, and each group of people get involved where they really should have maybe run away, and it gets very rapey, very nasty. But yeah, let's see if it pushes my boundaries. Let's see where it goes. That is Connie, Extreme Horror. Okay, and the final book that I want to read by the end of week 3 is The City of the Dead by Brian Keane. And this is because earlier on in the year I read, loved and reviewed The Rising by Brian Keane. This is part 2. So this is a continuation. It's basically a world ravaged by zombies. There was a plague and all the people are coming back to life as the living dead. And I think in this particular one, these people are hiding out in a skyscraper. And really it's just all about absolute survival. I did mention in my review of The Rising that this is a very unique, original kind of zombie novel. So if you're the kind of people that are bored of zombies, give this one a go. The Rising might actually really surprise you. It's kind of a different approach to the zombie genre, which I really appreciated. So that is The City of the Dead by Brian Keane. Okay, in the 4th week, the final week of September, I'm going to be participating in the Readathon Week of Weird. I've done that before last year, or I think it might have been earlier this year, sorry, where I read China Mabel, sort of a new weird book, and that was Perdido Street Station, which was absolutely fabulous. For this particular week, I'm going to be a little bit more ambitious. There's quite a lot of stuff that I've got lined up that I would like to read, starting with The King in Yellow. Oh, by the way, this is hosted by, the Week of Weird is hosted by Crystal over at Fiber and Jason at Jason's Weird Reads. Absolutely awesome channels, and I will link down below. Now, I'm trying to read, I would like to get to The King of Yellow, The King in Yellow, which is about, it's a shorter sort of novella, short story. It's about 10 interconnected stories about madness, and they all revolve around a forbidden play. And then another one, earlier one, is the great god Pan. Pan representing nature and paganism, and apparently this is also a very weird tale. Then there's also a number of short stories that are, I've actually got 4 compilations like this, and I'm going to look for a variety of short stories that fit the bill of weird, what is weird fiction. So I'm sure there's plenty of short stories. I know there's Algernon Blackwood in here, and I'm going to try and find a couple of others so that, yeah, I can participate properly this time. And then finally, I want to choose between 2 other China Mabel books that I've got for new weird. The one that I would most like to get to is Kraken, which looks very interesting, looks very Lovecraftian. And the other one is The City in the City, which is a bit shorter. But yeah, maybe you can tell me which one you think I should read for this particular week. Yeah, so I'm not too sure which one I'm going to get to if I've got time. I really hope that I do find some time to read these, or just one of them. But that's going to be my participation in that particular week. I know there are 4 prompts. I think I will be able to cover all 4 prompts. I think there's a thing on science fiction. Maybe some of the earlier science fiction I might move forward to this particular week. I know that there's one on just a horror read, and then there's old weird and there's new weird. So hopefully I'll be able to cover all 4 prompts for this particular week. Okay everyone, so that's my Super-Ambitious TBR for September. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, what you think I should focus on, what you thought about it, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. And please keep it safe out there, take care of yourselves, keep those pages turning, and cheers.